Family gatherings. Gatherings filled with lethal moments. I mean, when I was a kid, I loved family gatherings. Seeing my cousins, playing games, spending time with my grandparents. Now, it's almost like preparing to step into a horror movie. Comparison hour. At first, you might think, well, sure, it's possible that your aunt compares you to your cousin, that your grandmother talks about the neighbor's son and how well he's doing, or that your own mother starts commenting on how much weight Stacy has lost and how she'd make a great match for one of her sons. Those kinds of comparisons would be tolerable, but then come the even more frustrating ones. The classic. When I was your age, I already had 3 children. When I was your age, I'd already bought my first house. What hadn't they accomplished? Family gatherings are special because you never know whether to feel happy to see your family or anxious, wondering what the next comparison will be. Yet despite all the frustration they generate in me, I'm aware that it doesn't come from a bad place. There are no hidden agendas or malicious intentions. At the end of the day, we simply fail to realize that comparison is not the right tool for conveying a message. Even more so when it's a generational comparison. Listening to my grandfather sitting there with a glass of scotch in his hand, recalling that when he met my grandmother, they didn't even kiss until they were married, and that he can't understand why Joanna is already sleeping at her boyfriend's house when they've only been together for 3 weeks. My cousin Joanna, who's 24 years old and hasn't decided to get married. That's when, sitting there, thoroughly annoyed, I wonder, how am I supposed to fully absorb this advice when it sometimes sounds more like the ramblings of old age? Or comes the unsettling question, am I really stuck? After that lovely family gathering, I decided to press directly on the wound. I opened LinkedIn. A handful of promotions from people I hadn't interacted with in ages immediately appeared on my feed. Of course I'm stuck, I thought. Then I made the mistake of opening Instagram. Almost immediately, I saw photos from a recent wedding and from the friend who decided to start a family before anyone else. Definitely stuck. I mean, if I'm not the CEO of a company, don't own a house, and I'm not married, then I'm missing everything my relatives told me I should already have by now. I got home feeling defeated and annoyed. Was I stuck? Possibly, but not because I wanted to be. Maybe I didn't want the same things they wanted when they were my age. Maybe the rules of the game had changed. And then I thought, could it be that comparisons, besides being the wrong tool, are also using outdated metrics? Yes, my parents and uncles bought houses and had children much earlier than I did. But why? Did it make sense to believe my life had to follow exactly the same timeline as my relatives' lives? The milestones they constantly use as benchmarks were considered traditional 50 years ago. Should they still be the standard for adults today? I opened my laptop and, with the help of AI, went searching for evidence. Since my parents and uncles are baby boomers, I started there. And what I found made me realize that everything is more complicated than that. Boomers had certain advantages. The ratio between income and housing prices was far lower. When my parents were 30, a house cost about 3.5 times their annual income. Today, it's closer to 5.5 times. Despite that difference, inflation and interest rates today are much lower than what many baby boomers faced. So let's say each generation had its own challenges when it came to buying a home. When I looked into marriage age, the data was just as different. Back then, people were comfortable getting married at 22. According to the numbers, millennials tend to marry around 30. And the difference in the age people have children is just as striking. Honestly, I think what we need to stop doing is using our parents' clocks to measure the timeline of our own lives. We're not the same people. We're not living in the same society. I know I'm working toward goals that probably aren't the same goals my parents had, but they're the ones that make me feel fulfilled. Maybe one day I'll have a house, a family, and children. But millennials have ambitions shaped very differently from those of baby boomers. And the same thing will happen with Generation Z. We can't use the timelines of previous decades to measure our achievements. Every generation has its own clock, custom built for the circumstances in which it lives. Life's timeline changes, and we can't become anxious because we haven't achieved the same things our parents, or even our grandparents, achieved. After spending that afternoon doing some research, I understood my parents' and uncles' perspective and why they worried when they didn't see me where they had been at my age. Yes, I needed to listen to them. But I also had my own arguments, and now I understood the reasons behind both perspectives. So I went in with a more open mind and a genuine willingness to listen to their advice. I wasn't defensive anymore because I understood the source of the comparison. And I understood the source of my anger. I too had been comparing myself all along, unconsciously feeling frustrated because I wasn't where they had been. So I went with more patience and enjoyed my family's company a lot more. Everything would come in its own time. The generations of yesterday had their priorities. The generations of today have theirs, and they aren't the same. So the next time you attend a family gathering and find yourself wanting to put together a PowerPoint presentation, remember that every generation faces different challenges, follows a different timeline, and pursues different goals. The comparisons will keep coming. That part is out of your control. What you can control is whether you receive them as a verdict on your life or for what they really are. The clock of another generation measuring a time that no longer exists.